Hi again, everybody. I hope you did okay with the introduction assignment and got to know everybody at Community Kitchen. For this next module, which will last 2 weeks, we're going to be covering ethics, development planning, and communications, all very important elements of development. So the first part we're going to be dealing with is ethical fundraising. Obviously, it's very important to keep donors' trust and also to present your operations and your organization in an ethical way, and to be true to your constituencies, your stakeholders, everybody involved, and also, most of all, always to be true to your mission and to make sure that the fundraising that you do aligns with your organization's mission. So obviously there is, and you'll be reading a sort of standardized code of ethics for nonprofits, but it's also important that each organization determines for itself what are best ethical practices, because they're not always the same for every organization. Depending on who you serve and what you do, you will determine what additional ethical considerations you would like to put into place. The next section that we will work with is development planning, and development planning not only includes all the people who are in the development department, if you even have a development department, but everybody in the organization, from volunteers to people who work on communications and PR and marketing to people who run programs, all have an important role in developing fundraising opportunities for the organization. Also, Planning is really important for your organization. Obviously, most VISTAs will only be with an organization for a year, but everything that you put in place now will have far-reaching effects. So you could start working on pulling together a list of grants or putting together a grant application that your organization will apply to down the road, and they will continue to reap benefits year over year potentially. Obviously, we want to go back to our first section in this module on ethics and consider that our long-term development planning puts in place those ethical considerations that we've already considered. And it's important that all of our development planning is realistic, that we are striving for goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So we'll be looking at some of that over the course of the coming week, 2 weeks. The last thing we'll look at is creating communications or messages about your organization and its clients. You want to use a logical or emotional appeal that can serve multiple fundraising purposes. We'll look specifically at the case for support for Community Kitchen, which is a document that your organization can use as a foundation for your fundraising communications. And the main goals of messaging are to raise awareness and to raise funds. And creativity is key. You want to stand out amongst all of the different advertising that will come onto your potential donors' laps, and you want to have an organization that really rises to the top. Also, branding is key, having consistent messages and distinguishing yourself from other organizations who are doing similar work, while you want to keep your own clear organizational identity. Also, storytelling is a really powerful tool that can create an emotional connection with people who read or view your messages. If you're creating videos and documents, you can inspire people through storytelling much more easily than simple, sort of straightforward, dull prose. So we'll be dealing with, one of your assignments will be dealing with communications at your organization as well. So now that you've introduced yourself to Community Kitchen and the board, it's time to get started on raising that $200,000 for Community Kitchen. And we'll be doing that during this module through a task that tests your ability to apply ethical codes to Community Kitchen's mission statement. Through planning, during a development planning meeting, you will provide answers based on your reading to questions about the planning process posed by members of the Fund Development Committee. And lastly, you will read an article that describes several best practices for writing a case for support, and then you'll look at a draft of the Community Kitchen case for support and make suggestions on what should stay and what should go. So I apologize, this has been a slightly disjointed video this week. I've been a little bit under the weather, but I've tried my hardest. I will hopefully be better next time you see me, and certainly if you have any questions or follow-up, please do not hesitate to message me through the messaging system. Also, time to get some rigorous conversation going on the forums. So if you have any questions or comments or suggestions to pose to your fellow classmates. I'm sure they would love to hear what you have to say. Otherwise, I will see you via this video thing in 2 weeks. Talk to you soon.